Have you ever shopped for a new mattress? It's less fun even than attending a feminist march on Washington, and you're expected to make a decision in 2 minutes that you're going to have to live with for a year. The sales guys just want to tell you the most expensive model, and you end up spending thousands of dollars on something you're not quite convinced is right for you. Well, mattresstoMyDoor.com takes the hassle out of shopping for a new mattress. They've engineered and designed their mattress to ensure a restful night's sleep. The Mattress to My Door mattress has an exclusive next-generation foam and breathable gel combination for maximum support and comfort. Not too hard and not too soft. Just perfect. The breathable gel gives a great bounce, and the next foam stays contoured to your body so you float on the surface without creating hot spots like traditional memory foam. The Mattress to My Door mattress is proudly made in the USA and comes standard with a 10-year warranty and a 10-year mattress protection plan unmatched in the industry. Most companies will try to sell protection plans increasing your cost, but not mattresstoMyDoor.com. To make sure you love your new mattress, Mattress to My Door comes with a 101 night-in home trial. And if you're not completely satisfied, they will credit your money back, no questions asked. Of course, shipping is free and the customer service is amazing. Get the best night's sleep you deserve with mattresstoMyDoor.com. Use promo code Milo to get a free set of microfiber sheets when you purchase your mattress. Sleep better, sounder with mattresstoMyDoor.com.
Welcome to the Milo Yiannopoulos Show on Podcast One, broadcasting live from Mordor, the Borg Cube, and Voldemort's lair all at the same time. This show is hosted by Milo Yiannopoulos, the most fabulous supervillain on the internet. Sorry, no offense, but it's true. The Milo Yiannopoulos Show is brought to you by Breitbart.com.
Thank you. Hi. Oh, look, what is this? This is disgusting. Look at these awful posters that have appeared all around campus. Fat people, please stop eating. Shameful. Shameful. Communists are fucking ugly. How rude. Antifa, more like gay retards. Wonderful. And dear Trump, please deport fat people. Well, he's doing such a good job. He's doing literally everything he said he was going to do. Everything. Now, he didn't say that he was going to deport fat people, but I feel sure that was just lack of space or time or something, you know. There's a lot to get through at the rallies. Anyway, we are here to talk about my favorite subject, which is how beautiful I am. But for a good cause, for a noble cause, we're going to talk about free speech, we're going to talk about feminism, we're going to talk about social justice warriors, we're going to be talking about those lovely people outside. Congratulations on making it in unshot, by the way. Well done for making it in. It's become a sort of act of bravery to show up and listen to a gay man crack black dick jokes, and the left did it. What a world! What a world! America 2017 is already brilliant. Right. Well, particularly brilliant because Donald Trump is president. And there's nothing they can do about it. The media attention on him and on this tour has been insane. I've turned down CNN 111 times already this week because they're cunts. The fake news media. And we're coming up with new and innovative ways to troll the lying media all the time. For instance, this just happened outside.
You wanted to interview Milo, right?
Yeah.
He said he'll interview you if you apologize for Pearl Harbor. Yeah, you have to apologize for Pearl Harbor. Okay? Thank you. We appreciate it. Pearl Harbor diminished.
Probably won't be seeing me on Japanese TV anytime soon. Today we're going to talk about why ugly people end up left-wing. It is the truth. It is the truth as... I'm serious. I'm serious with this shit, okay? I know it's all packaged like it's a joke, but this is real. As the Victorian novelist might have put it, it is a truth universally acknowledged that an ugly woman is far more likely to be a feminist than a hot one. Now that is true, and all the studies, no, it's true, and all the studies bear me out. We're going to talk a little bit about why that is, and how we can rescue our friends who we love. You know, it's important to have ugly friends. For selfies. And paparazzi shots, you know. I have lots of ugly friends. No, it's important to have ugly friends. But we do want our ugly friends to be happy. Not everybody can be as witty, talented, popular, athletic, charming, and beautiful as a room full of Trump supporters. Not everybody. And we want our visually challenged feminist brothers and sisters to have a happy life, because we are compassionate, decent people, because we are conservatives. Now, for the feminists in the audience who have been blinded by the body positivity movement, fat acceptance, are you kidding me? Let's first establish what we mean by a hot person. Here's an example of a... Here's an example of a good-looking person, no makeup selfie. Absolutely no Photoshop whatsoever. Of course, good looks, a rapier wit, Jewish verbal IQ, and all of my other great talents. All of my other great talents are not enough on their own to make me dangerous. The politics, I have the wrong opinions, like you have the wrong opinions, deplorable opinions. That's what makes me dangerous. That's what all those people outside are so upset about, so cross. That's what all those women marching. Oh my goodness! Did you see that meme? I can't take credit for this. You know, sometimes you read things and you just wish you'd come up with them. And it was like, you know the one. It's like, Donald Trump's already made 3 million fat women do exercise, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like sort of, he's only been president 3 days, and, you know, fat people are already exercising. Anyway, something like that. I wish I'd come up with it. Now, it is, of course, the people opposed to me and opposed to us who are the people who are actually dangerous. We're not really dangerous. We call ourselves dangerous and deplorable as a sort of joke, you know, as a sort of acknowledgement, you know, of the lunacy of the left, of their insistence on muddying the line between ideas and action, between opinions and violence. And they do this because they want to legitimize their own bratish responses. They want to legitimize their own throwing their toys out the stroller. As a reaction, they want to make it a legitimate reaction to your differing political opinions. Because if they can muddy those waters by introducing phrases like safe space, if they can convince you that some speakers on campus represent a threat to student safety, if they can do those things, they can legitimize their own violent responses to ideas. Now, the left has sort of given up pretending that it cares about free speech, that it believes in free speech. Let me answer it. Give it to me. Give it to me. Who is it? Bring it to me. Whose phone is that? Bring it to me. Bring it to me or leave. It's my talk. I can do what I want. Who is it on the phone? Did you answer it? Yeah, my mom. Oh, it's your mom. Let's call mom. You wait there. What was your name? What's your name? Nick. Hello, is that Nick's mom?
Yes, it is.
Hi. Your son had his phone turned on at my lecture. Now, I don't know you. I don't want to accuse you of bad parenting. There's a certain sort of lack of common decency. Your son would never do such a thing. Well, he did, madam. He did. He did. Tell us about your. Is he a student here? Okay, well, I'm going to give his phone back to him, and I'm going to give him a spank on the bottom. I won't, don't worry. I'll probably get arrested. I have to check your ID before I touch you. No, I've got myself into trouble before. Thank you for talking to us. Lots of love, bye. Thanks for being a good sport. I mean, it's just good manners. Just good manners. Heavens. Sorry, Pumpkin. I just, occasionally have to make an example out of people. The one thing I can't abide is bad manners. Now, here's something else I can't abide. Real, actual threats and doxing. Just 2 hours ago, I was told that many of you received this email. You see, we're such a slick operation now. I can get shit up there within like 20 minutes of starting. Right. Read this. We know who you are. Tonight we will know your faces. Well, lucky you. The identities of attendees will be released to the public on a list of known neo-Nazi sympathizers. Really, bitch? We do not tolerate fascism. Oh, you mean like fascism, like shouting down college speakers and assaulting people who want to come and listen to a talk by a gay? That sort of fascism? Fucking idiots. I mean, it's something of a come down from UC Davis and Seattle. What pussies your protesters are. They're not coming at you with baseball bats, they're coming at you with emails. What do they think's going to happen? They're going to email you to death. They're going to send you terrifying ultimatums. Forward this to 15 people, or you hate your grandmother and you'll have bad sex for a year. This is the levels to which leftist activism has sunk in panic. It's Trump's America in action, or even worse. Forward this email to 15 people you know, or this will appear at the end of your bed. There we go. Something truly terrifying. But now. You mustn't misgender people. It's very rude. We've been told if we do it, we're hateful, misogynistic, racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic bigots who deserve to burn in hell. They think we're the weirdos. Right. Of course, it's not just keyboard warriors. Every tour stop now seems to be accompanied by violence precipitated by the left. The left's given up pretending that it cares about free speech. And now what it does, you'll have noticed from this email and from the posters outside, is it does two things. First of all, it convinces you that it's okay to hit Nazis. And on the face of it, that sounds all right. I mean, Richard Spencer got punched in DC, and I was like, I sort of care because I kind of care because I don't like anyone to see anyone in pain. But if you've got to punch anyone, it's a very punchable face. I think it's partly the lisp as well, isn't it? No way that man's heterosexual. If I wasn't already thrown out of the alt-right, that'll do it. Kidding, I'm not a member of that movement. Never been. They lie about me. They persuade you, like this, with this poster, that it's okay to punch Nazis, and then they call everyone Nazis. They call gay Jews who never shut up about black dick Nazis. Something tells me the language has become debased. So this is their new strategy. This one's courtesy of Antifa, who've been showing up in large numbers recently. This is Antifa's logo, more or less. Make no mistake, the left will not think twice about punching you. They really won't. And they won't think twice about hitting you because you have the wrong ideas. So congratulations for even showing up. No member of a SWAT team will have to learn special tactics to deal with me or with you. They might have to learn special tactics if they are hot young black officers. That is a separate issue. Pay no attention to the vial of medication in my rucksack. No. No, I'm the bottom. How could I rape anyone? Makes no sense. No, this really annoyed me it always annoyed me when I was growing up. People were like, oh, bums to the wall, lads. And it's like, I want you to fuck me! These kinds of generalizations can be very offensive. Now, we planned on this tour to hit as many places as possible. There's no way I was going to skip this beautiful state. What a wonderful place you live in. I would have to be crazy not to want to deal with freezing temperatures and icy mountain passes that left me scared to death the tour bus was going to slide off a ravine. The total lack of anything resembling culture. The sad excuse for a city you call Boulder, Colorado. The loony politics of everyone in this town. And did I mention the hippies? Oh, seriously, you live here? But, Boulder's an important university for me to speak at. Your mascot is the buffalo, a large... sort of mass outbreak of autism. The buffalo. I'm getting back on topic now, I promise. The buffalo. A huge, foul-smelling, ugly beast quickly disappearing from the American landscape. Just like feminists. It's too easy. It's too easy. You may think I'm kidding, but feminists are actually disappearing. Fewer than 1 in 5 American women now describes herself as a feminist. Thank God! Thank God! It's the only cancer we've cured. Or at least we're on our way to curing it. It still sort of runs rampant in the media. But we're getting there. Soon, feminists will be so endangered, they really will be like buffaloes. We'll be keeping them in zoos. As ugly reminders of our hideous past. Sort of, something like a Holocaust museum, The Museum of... Oh, stop it. Stop it. Oh, was it somebody offended? Somebody offended. You can go, Who did you think you were coming to hear? No, it'll be sort of, next to the Holocaust Museum, you have a Museum of Ancient Feminism. And you'll sort of walk through this gigantic mouth, of a sort of a hippopotamus. Sort of, you'll have to, the doors will be Lena Dunham's tits. And then you'll be, but more of that in a minute. Now, I have to tell you, you're especially brave to show up because this is the site of a lot of the craziest stuff on American college campuses. A lot of the very worst stuff in America started here. In 1987, way before the social justice plague, a dorm here was renamed from Nichols Hall to Cheyenne Arapaho Hall. Here are some Rapahos, Lil Kim and me. Me is Ivana Wall. It's my drag persona. The building had been named after David Nichols, who was considered instrumental in the founding of your school, but the name was taken away because of supposed crimes against the Indians. Not the tech support, sort of 7-Eleven Indians. I mean, yeah. No, it's not my fault. Language did it. In England, we have words for things. We know what we mean. We call them Asians. You have words that apply to all sorts of different groups. It's no wonder that people like me are accidentally offensive. So I mean the kind of Indians that drink out of buffalo bladders and got their asses kicked by Columbus. Maybe they should have spent less time doing powwows and more inventing guns. Or the wheel. Too much for some of you. Too much for you. By the way, Trump just greenlit the Dakota pipeline. All those Facebook statuses really did the job, guys. Well done. I told the local reservation casinos are preparing for a long night. It's not my fault you lost. Oh, stop it. Now, this is amazing. Boulder predated Georgetown and the Ivy League schools by taking away building names from dead white guys. By decades, you were so ahead of the social justice curve. And there's more. Our culture has become obsessed with white people pretending to be other races. The most famous is Pocahontas, whose evil white lady name is Elizabeth Warren. My Native American name is Kneels Over for Dark Man. But there... I mean, you keep laughing, I'll keep doing it, you know. I'm so tired of these jokes, but but there are other transracials, people fleeing their white identity, the horrors of supposed white privilege, by becoming another race. Sean King and Rachel Dolezal, both of whom are white people who pretend to be black. But before all of these frauds were outed as whites, you had one right here. Nutcase Professor Ward Churchill, the original transracial who claimed to be a Native American, but after an investigation of the Rocky Mountain News of 142 direct ancestors, not a single one of them had ever played the panpipe. As of this morning, he's a big fibber. As of this morning, I've got more black in me than Ward has Indian in him. Pocahontas and Chief Churchill are the smart transracials. All Ward had to do to pretend to be Indian was grow his hair out. The white people pretending to be black have to tan. Can you imagine Rachel Dolezal's tanning and hair care bills? Putting the kink in. I mean, I have black female friends that spend their entire life trying to get rid of it. Ward Churchill wasn't smart enough. He was fired not for being an egregious race fraud, but for research misconduct, because if you lie about one thing egregiously, you are likely to be lying about other things egregiously, and once the spotlight was on him, it was discovered that he had falsified, fabricated, and plagiarized things, because, of course, he hates the white man's government, but had no problem. Chief Churchill had no problem taking his case all the way to the Supreme Court, which is the sort of hypocrisy that we're used to. That sort of hypocrisy is always the case with progressives. And it isn't just ancient history either. These are some idiotic white people. You heard about this? The So Sorry movement? They put themselves in stocks to apologize for slavery. You didn't do it. It's not just ancient history. See, we're getting into the serious stuff now. There's a few people at the back for fuck. Maybe those protesters have got a point. They don't. It's okay. We're laughing at white people. It's fine. Now, it's not just ancient history. 2015 social justice nutcases from a class called Whiteness Studies. You have a class here called Whiteness Studies, which is about how easy it is to be white. Planned an anti-racist protest rally in support of the Black Lives Matter protesters at Missouri, but it was cancelled. Do you know why? Because the Black Student Alliance found out about it and got upset that they weren't asked to sign off on it and run it. So you've got black people having a go at whites for their anti-racism march. This is a sort of narcissism of which only I thought I was capable. You know, I know that language is a little different up here in the mountains. But that is crazy talk. And this is a valuable lesson about social justice and the extreme left, because they always turn on each other. They always turn on each other, which is awesome, because it's great fun to watch. See the Women's March? You see the Women's March? You know, the black feminists were angry with the trannies were angry with the rich white girls, which was all of them. You know, honestly. You know, it's wonderful just to watch them tear chunks off each other. It's fantastic. It gives us a flavor of what the left has been enjoying with Trump and establishment conservatism. It's our turn now to sit back and watch them tear pieces out of one another. I keep asking them to change this because it looks way more Hitlerian than I want it to. Even the color scheme. But they don't listen to me. Apparently it's from a movie. There's just one more thing I have to mention. 2015, CU Boulder put in place an Orwellian system to report... you know, we do think this stuff through. To report discriminatory speech to the authorities. I'm sure many of you don't know your George Orwell because you're college students, so the most complex text they will have given you to read is See Spot Run. Except, of course, it was written by a white guy, so it's probably off the syllabus by now. In Orwell's 1984, children become spies, and everyone lives in constant terror of being reported for thought crime to the authorities, which is pretty much how the most liberal college campuses, like this one, operate now. This wasn't a warning, it was an instruction manual for the modern progressive left. That's enough about your university. You came here to listen to a speech not about you, but about something far more interesting, which is me, and specifically about my relationship with ugly people. I'm here to talk to you about why ugly people hate me and why they hate you too. Now, it could have been a really short presentation because the answer is in fact very simple. They hate me because I am beautiful and because I tell the truth. They hate me because, unlike all of the beautiful people in Hollywood who spout liberal lies, gibberish, and fake news to make people feel better, I occasionally like to challenge people, to make them laugh, to make them think, even to make them uncomfortable sometimes. But the only thing that gets me off more than the thought of being captured by Somali pirates is the sound of my own voice. So I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about how it is that ugly people come to end up with left-wing politics, whether left-wing people are more likely to, in turn, make themselves uglier and why that might be, why they hate you, and what you can do about it, besides this. Ugly people have always been the leaders of every progressive movement. Just look at the temperance women. Older members of my audience, I was going to say something mean. I was going to say, were you there? But it was quite a long time ago. They tend to be sexless and joyless people. And nothing makes that kind of person happier than telling other people what they're allowed to do. They don't have joy in their own lives. And they want to make all of us as miserable as they are. Leftist politics are about policing behavior, nannying people, especially students. They love telling you what to do, and having a hotline to drop the dime on any speech that they don't like. There's a clarion call to every person who wants to get back at people who have something they don't. And one of the unfortunate injustices inherent in our species is that some people are hot and some people are not hot. Or people are not all born equal. Now, it's perfectly reasonable and acceptable to laugh at ham planets because they made decisions about their life that led them to corpulence, that led them to being the quivering, disgusting mounds of flesh that they are. I never have a problem with anyone mocking someone for the life choices they made. Being Muslim, for instance. Almost as stupid as being fat. At least you get an AK, I mean. And you never have to put up with anyone offending you ever, because the combined forces of the American liberal media establishment will come to your defense, whatever a fraudster you are. Clock boy. God, it makes you so angry, doesn't it? It makes you so angry. And then white liberals like Obama, just sort of pandering. Oh, come show us your clock. One letter away from my teenage years. Leftists are about policing your behavior. They'll believe almost anything. They will believe almost anything about people who have stuff that they don't have that they want. Check out the gender studies professors at your university if you want to understand where this stuff comes from. Look down the roster of dyke, divorcee, bulimic, compulsive overeater. They're lashing out at you because they want you to be as miserable as they are. My encouragement to you is that you don't allow them to do so. Liberalism, and especially third-wave feminism, is the new Puritanism. It seeks to control you, and seeks to police you, and seeks to punish dissidents and outliers. According to H.L. Mencken, Puritanism is the haunting fear that someone somewhere might be happy. And who could possibly hate happiness? Well, people who are denied it themselves. Given America's obesity epidemic, the truth is that hot people are an endangered species in this country. We are a marginalized group, constantly punished by society's unrealistically ugly beauty standards. Does no magazine editor ever consider the psychiatric damage done to hot, young, popular athletic people by putting Lena Dunham on the cover of a magazine and telling us that that is what you should aspire to look like? It's mean. It's cruel. As the New York Times columnist David Brooks puts it, popular, good-looking, and athletic children are the subjects of relentless abuse. While still young and impressionable, they're force-fed a diet of ugly duckling fables to which they cannot possibly relate. They are compelled to endure endless Disney movies telling them that true beauty lies inside. In high school, the most interesting teachers favor the brainy students who are rendered ambitious by social resentments and who have time on Saturday nights to sit at home and to develop adult-pleasing interests. After graduation, the popular and good-looking have few role models, save for local weathermen and game show hosts, while the nerds can emulate any number of modern moguls, from Bill Gates to Sergey Brin. The truth, ladies and gentlemen, which you won't hear anywhere else, is that pretty people are the real victims of popular culture. What? The good news is you don't have to trust Professor Milo, even though I would never lie to you. I don't think I would. Would I? No, I don't think I have. Even though I'd never lie to you, I'm trying to think of something funny, but no, I don't lie. I'm not constitutionally capable of it. Even though I'd never lie to you, I always speak to you with a factual basis. Now, a research paper from UCLA, which unfortunately I won't be speaking at on this leg of the tour, I think we're going to replace it with USC for those who are interested in that one, proves that women with more feminine features, it's a UCLA research paper, says women with more feminine features tend to end up Republicans. And women with more mannish, masculine features tend to end up left-wing. They tend to vote Democrat. And this holds every time studies like this are conducted. It's almost universally true. Other studies show that if you strip out the names and political affiliations of politicians and ask people to rank them in terms of hotness, you get all the red ones and all the blue ones. They kind of self-sort, you know? The same is true in almost every arena of life, except for Hollywood, which has its own unique psychiatric problems. But women that aren't beautiful are shown by this research paper to be far more likely to sign up to progressivism, to take up the ugly politics of social justice and of the left generally. They're not equal pay feminists of the 1960s, these people driven to feminists. They are the all sexes rape and men are pigs feminists of the current year. Now, speaking of pigs, here is a feminist icon, Andrea Dworkin. Andrea makes you want to ask who just died, aside from my sex drive and appetite. This is the prototype for modern feminism. Unattractive women bent on stopping anything they don't agree with and can't have, like fun and sexiness. Incidentally, the same research, which I find this very interesting, the same research doesn't hold true for men, which is why it's specifically a problem with feminists. Because the good-looking to conservative trend line is much, much weaker when you look at male voters and male politicians. Men perhaps have other metrics of value. It's entirely possible. Their wallet, their speaking ability, their hair. Some have all of those things. And they're also handsome. I'm speaking, of course, about myself. But whatever way you slice this, the correlation is strongest with women. Lindy West says, and you know, they admit this themselves as Lindy. I mean, she tried. She tried hard. She says, I can imagine that liberalism actively attracts people who are shut out of that old-timey paradigm. The women who can't pass for hot are forced to consider why. Most liberals will not admit this. Well, that old-timey paradigm she mentions is notions of physical beauty, and they've remained largely unchanged, except for some fashions. You know, people often say, oh, well, beauty is just a social construct. You know, people used to like curvy women, and they like thin women. Well, yeah, but the range is pertinent. The range of desirable body types changes a bit, but it has never been as big as Lindy West. No matter how many ham planets trendy magazines insist on photographing and putting on the cover, women like... You see, this is what we have to put up with now. We're told that this... Look, when you put somebody on the cover of a magazine, you're not saying, look at this. You're saying, be like this. This is 2016 and 2017 American popular culture's aspirational lifestyle icon. Something is wrong in culture there. Something is wrong. Something is sick. Something, well, her, presumably, if she's whatever obesity-related disease she's about to drop dead from. Now, these women have no physical beauty, but they have dedicated their lives to telling other women how to look. And they're monsters inside and out. These women dedicated their lives to luxuriating in their own ugliness. And they're taking the rest of you down with them, encouraging vulnerable young women, impressionable young girls at college, that it's okay to just eat. I mean, eat to excess, obviously. I mean, it's a cube of cheese every 2 weeks, you know. Such a bad model. No. They're taking young, impressionable, vulnerable women down with them. And you know, when you see retailers like JCPenney putting vastly, odiously fat people in ads and saying, be like this person, I find it objectionable, not just because it's funny to laugh at the obese. It is. But mostly because you're putting these people into an early grave. You're literally encouraging them to kill themselves. The number of obesity-related complications, diseases, sicknesses, how much more expensive life is, you know, filling your fridge every 11 hours. Those big, like, industrial freezers are expensive. All the space you need for pizza and vomit. No, but it's putting people into an early grave. Isn't just large ladies, however, who are leading women astray. This is Linda Sarsour, the Hamas-loving Muslim woman, throwing up the ISIS sign. I'll do that, somebody take a screenshot. Throwing up the ISIS sign. This woman was somehow in charge of the Women's March against Trump. Nothing says women's liberation like Sharia law activists in hijabs. Seriously, this is how stupid liberals are. This is how stupid liberals are. When did women become so insane that they will march with this woman and talk about how terrible it is to be a woman in America? They all stopped at Starbucks before marching to. Starbucks that cost more than many women elsewhere in the world make in a week. Women elsewhere in the world with real problems. I mean, it's funny-ish, but this woman had acid thrown in her face by her cousin. You know why? Because she didn't want to marry her cousin. But no, let's talk about microaggressions. Back to Linda, who is not a pretty woman, that schnoz and that jawline. She has that little smirk, you know, that progressive Muslim activists always have when they're pulling the wool over the eyes of Western civilization. Have you ever noticed that sort of, it's that almost imperceptible slight sort of, it's just at the corners of the mouth, you know, just that slight little getting away with it again. You know, it's that sort of Mona Lisa smile. Well, not her, but we could have organized these better. Yes, her. I'm not, in general, in favor of the full burqa veil, but I would make an exception in Linda's case. Not just because she's such a smug twat, but also because she's got some of the classic features of the modern progressive feminist. She's got that high testosterone jaw, you know? Now, many of these progressive feminists are trannies, so the jaw makes sense. But but this does appear to have been a woman. Activists, by the way, do you know that you can affect your testosterone by standing aggressively? Sort of like, you know. No, you can. It's true. Men who stand aggressively, like men who lift a lot, like some of the reason that their testosterone levels go up, some of the reasons that are sort of aggressive postures and behavior patterns can affect hormonal levels. So really, really angry, aggressive women end up looking like this. It's perfectly true. It's perfectly true. Activists are pushy, and that does raise testosterone. Speaking masculine, here is... Oh, Sally Cohen, the stupidest woman in America. This is the woman who said she wanted her kid to be gay. She wants her kid to be gay. It's the most insane, ludicrous, narcissistic, preposterous thing that anybody could say. Fuck you. I mean, what a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, she's a sort of taller, manlier, slightly less left-wing version of Ben Shapiro. She, like Linda, likes to rationalize Sharia law. I'm not sure why so many liberal women race to embrace Islam, unless they just hate the West. They just hate America. The only explanation I can come up with is that the analysis of political Islam is the same as the analysis of the sort of Marxist social justice left that all of your professors belong to. And women like Sally Cohen will aid and abet and help this kind of stuff. She said immediately after Orlando, remember, she's a lesbian, of course, and immediately after Orlando, she said that she's never received as much hate as from Christians. I just don't believe her. She's a liar. I'm very gay. And I have been traveling through Louisiana, Texas, all these wonderful places, excellent states. And sometimes I'll get out at a truck stop, to pick up some trade. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes I'll get out at a truck stop and I'll be in, a dress or what I do in the privacy of my own tour bus is none of anybody's business. No, but sometimes I'm literally wearing a dress because we're having fun and I'm just, being silly and we're doing photos and all the rest of it. And I'm in a truck stop in the middle of supposedly hateful, real America, as I like to call it. And the worst that anybody has ever said to me is, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but I think you're brave for what you're doing. So I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you is the worst the Christians ever said to me. And this woman has the gall to blame Christians for homophobia after a Muslim killed 49 and murdered another 50 gays. What a cunt. Never trust lesbians.
If you want to know what really goes on in the minds of Hollywood celebs like Kate Beckinsale, Rob Lowe, Vince Vaughn, Mindy Kaling, Ewan McGregor, Tandy Newton, The Edge, Kristen Ritter, and many more, then download Off Camera with Sam Jones. Sam goes one-on-one with Hollywood's A-list and gets real every week. Find out for yourself now on the Podcast One app, iTunes, or at podcastone.com.
Rachel Maddow, some of you will know. Sally's ever so slightly less mannish twin sister. Do they grow them in a lab somewhere? Sort of somewhere deep in the bowels of MSNBC. They concoct people with the lowest imaginable IQs and the most unattractive features. This is the only surviving eugenics project in America, is whatever they're doing in New York to breed women like this. Rachel wears thick-rimmed glasses to look smart, but I will always think of her as the crying TV host from election night. Wasn't that sad? Wasn't that sad? Oh. Even sadder is she's going to have to drum up those crocodile tears for another 8 years. Now, it isn't only women who are increasingly shaped by a liberal cookie cutter. How many guys do you know on campus that fit the beta orbiter stereotype? Somebody knows them. This is a sort of new male aesthetic which is developing on American college campuses and in the offices of the New York Times, CNN, and BuzzFeed. These little things, barely men at all, the sort of unthreatening, limp-wristed loom that women say they want when secretly they want to get a train run on them by the basketball team. Maybe I'm projecting. Thick glasses, patchy beards. Why do they always have patchy beards? Well, because it's all about hormones, of course. Soft, estrogen-filled bodies. Maybe it's the soy lattes. But these guys are all the same. You know about soy, right? Soy is very bad for you. If you're a boy, you should not have soy. It's very, very bad for your T levels and estrogen and things like that. Now, like feminists destroying beauty standards, these guys can never win girls through being a bloke. They can never win girls through displays of prowess or bravery or being physically impressive They can't do that. So instead, they whine about microaggressions in the hope of an unsatisfying hand job in the back of a car. Rarely do they get it. Rarely do they get it, because my scientific survey over the last 10 years of third-wave feminism has suggested to me, and I'm sure this is the case, these women lecturing you on your sex life and how you should look have the most depraved sex lives of anyone. There's almost no third-wave feminist who isn't either completely sexless or just desperate to get gagged and whatever. What is it you Americans say? Rage fucked? Is that what you say? What? I mean, this is in fact the only thing I have in common with third-wave feminists. I like that too, but the difference is I don't lie about it. I'm not ashamed of it, and I don't try to tell other people how to live their lives. I don't try to legislate what kind of sex it's okay for you to have. They do, because they're hypocrites. These sexless weasels are hypocrites too. This is why women sell their lives away to Islam, of course. It's why jocks and studs called Chad will always end up with a girl, while male feminists snivel in the corner, hoping if they're craven enough and complain enough about their male privilege that they will be spared a fake rape claim. The best they can ever hope for is being spared a fake rape claim. Of course, half these feminist guys end up being creepy stalkers. Have you noticed how many of these male feminists end up with rape charges? Like, have you noticed? And I think it's 50% that the left is kind of enlarging the definition of rape so much that they sort of feel guilty and turn themselves in and say, I looked at a woman on the subway and I think I might have raped her. I don't know. I'm not sure, because the definition changes every week. But I looked at her for about a second and a half too long and I think I might have raped her. And the other half of it is just they're creepy fucks. They don't function properly. They are aberrations, and yet we have allowed them to run popular culture. These are the people writing stories about the rest of us. These are the people who run the media, run academia. They're your professors. They're the journalists that you are forced to read. Unless you read Breitbart, of course. It's an oasis of rugged masculine energy, as you can tell. What's that? Scrotlets. Oh, that's nice. I like that. You see, thank you. You have a thespian's voice, sir. It really carries. It's wonderful. I didn't have to ask for a mic over to you. Scrotlets. Wonderful. All right. Now, a lot of them end up being pedos and rapists. And the ones that, I'm serious, Gian Gameshi, look him up. And the ones that don't end up sort of being victims of their own lunacy. So Joss Whedon. So you see, Joss is a problem, because Joss is responsible for the creation of the only genuinely great feminist role model in popular culture, maybe ever. That is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer... What? I can do pop culture. Buffy the Vampire Slayer saves the world over and over and over again. Some of you are too young to remember this, but you should watch it. It's good. Saves the world over and over again. Not in spite of her female vulnerability, but because of it. It's because she's a woman. She uses her female qualities against her enemies. And she remains at the end, after 7 seasons of bloodshed and horror, she remains a girl. Now, Joss Whedon is making movies and is pandering to people who want to see what Vox Day, a science fiction author and a very good blogger, says are sort of like men with tits. These superheroes who think and act and speak like men, but happen to be in women's bodies, and they're unconvincing. I'm not completely sure that anybody really wants to see a female superhero. I don't know why, as a woman, you would want to watch that, and I don't think men want to see that either. They want to be the ones to save the girl. I don't think that's a sexist thing. I think it just makes sense according to what we know about the genders. I'm not completely convinced that anyone really wants to watch a female superhero movie, which is maybe why they've all bombed. We wait for Wonder Woman in hope. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a good feminist role model because she stayed a woman, and she wasn't ashamed of that, and her vulnerability was sometimes the greatest source of her strength. And she, of course, existed in that period in the 90s when lots of feminist heroes would today be horrifying to the progressive left. Sex and the City, for instance, they just would talk about nothing other than wanting a husband. To the modern sort of man-hating, misandrist, lesbianic, feminist harpies of your gender studies department, that would be horrifying. They would say, no, you shouldn't be beautiful and get a nice rich husband, have a nice life. You should be fat, lonely, and miserable, and you should die stinking of cat piss like me. So the feminist role models in the 90s were all right, but Joss Whedon has become a panderer to this particular instinct. And of course, you can never keep these people happy. Nothing is ever enough for them. Nothing's ever good enough. So he's been the victim of the mob shaming, whatever. He was even run off Twitter by feminists. Literally the most feminist guy on the planet. Run off Twitter by feminist bullies. And we've established that ugly people tend to become liberals because they want to pull everyone down to their own miserable level. But can liberalism make people ugly? This is the big question I'd like to set in front of you. I've always been fascinated by the direction of causality. I want to know, which is the more powerful pull? Is it that ugly people, as I have always imagined, and as my research has suggested, as the UCLA study suggests, is it that ugly people are just more likely to end up left-wing? Or is it that, it's sort of 50-50, but once somebody becomes left-wing, something about that politics system, something about that belief structure turns them into uglies? Well, it turns out the answer might be both. So I used to think that, that it was the UCLA study told the whole picture. Whether it's people cheering on physical attacks on others or the destruction of property, lighting someone's hair on fire for supporting Donald Trump, liberals have a sort of ugly inner core. It's a hateful inner core. And if you have ever read Roald Dahl, you will remember from The Twits his wonderful description of how, even if you've got a double chin and stick out teeth, if you have a good soul, if you have a good heart, it will shine out of you, and people will tell. And no matter what your physical deformities, you will always be beautiful. Now, that's wrong. But he might have been right about some of the physical ugliness and unattractiveness if you have a bad soul, if you are a bad person. And to illustrate what I mean, I have some examples. Now, I researched this subject in 2015. I surveyed the available literature. I determined that on the whole, being left-wing doesn't make you very much uglier. But I think I might have been wrong. It seemed in 2015 as though feminism and liberalism simply attracted ugly people. But I think my answer has Have you noticed how badly they all spell? There's a sign, I think it was at UC Davis, it's sort of like, no fascism, like F-A-S-I-S-M. They didn't let me do this, but I wanted to go out with like a paint stick and just fix it for them, It's a sort of journalist, I can't see it even. They're very bad spells. Her t-shirt is. I think my answer's changed slightly. Fat acceptance is much more of a thing than it was in 2015 or earlier when the studies that I researched then were done. UCLA thing. The body positivity and fat acceptance movement hadn't really taken off yet. Lindy West is still alive, which is in itself a miracle, still teaching girls to put on pounds and be proud of them, but she's been joined by a vast army of fat activists. Now, certainly a person becomes less attractive as they become obese, and in that example, extreme liberalism certainly makes people less attractive. As a leading voice in the fight against fat acceptance, I get regular emails from people thanking me for body shaming them. No, I do. And invariably, they include before and after pictures. And, the people go from like 4s to 9s when they lose the weight. They really do. Everything about their life improves. Their mood, their sex life. Everything gets better when they take responsibility for their own decision-making, when they take control, rather than outsourcing personal responsibility to the state or to someone else. When you take individual responsibility for the choices that you make in life, for your own actions, and you understand how that affects not just you, but the people around you, everything gets better. And that's the conservative way. That's what Republicans do. Left-wingers sort of are characterized by this seeking to place the blame somewhere else. They couldn't believe that Hillary didn't get elected, so, it must have been Russia. Give me a break. It's so stupid. People like Donald Trump. Why? Because you've been lying to and lying about them for 30 years and you've pursued policies that don't suit them. Oh no, it must be some mysterious outbreak of white supremacy that has taken hold of America. It's ludicrous. Mark schemes, like grading schemes in school. Now, if you are somebody who takes responsibility for your own life, if you don't pass an exam, you might think to yourself, maybe I didn't study hard enough. Maybe I misinterpreted some of the texts. Maybe I should have, spent a few more nights in the library. What you don't do, if you have any sense of personal responsibility, is say, the marking scheme is biased towards white heteropatriarchy, so I'm actually not going to participate in this until you have rid the exam system of its intrinsic systemic bias. Oh, and by the way, I'm not coming to class tomorrow because Donald Trump's president and I can't stop crying. This is how they think. This is how they think. There's one thing that indisputably makes people ugly, and that is social justice. It has infected college campuses all over the world. It's not just America. This poisonous seed that you have planted, whose roots grew right here at Boulder. The poison that you have spunked into the world has reached as far as Brazil, where everyone's hot. I'd like to share some examples from a great Twitter account, which I can't pronounce, but I'll put it on my Facebook. It's ANTESDEPOISFEDE. You remember that. Here's the first one. This is a girl before and after social justice. This is, I know, it is very sad. Many such cases. Here is another young beauty turned into a butch dyke by some man-hating professor. Look how pretty she is. God, those dick-sucking lips. Here's another one. Literally trans. I mean, okay, she's got the chain that's a little bit too big, and she's got a septum piercing, which is a warning sign. Lads. It's a warning sign. Just say no. No matter how good the body is, if you've got a septum piercing, just don't go there. Don't do it. But look at what social justice has turned her into. Here's something else. Look how fucking ugly she looks. And how beautiful she was. And finally, the greatest tragedy of all. Really the greatest tragedy of all. Look at him. Dad? It's horrifying. Even Brazil. And you will, of course, have seen many examples, not just outside this evening before this talk, but elsewhere on your own campus and on all American campuses and European campuses. This is what you have done to the world. The American higher education system has turned hot people into freaks. Stop it! What? It's Bush's fault? It is? Why is it Bush's fault? Oh, okay. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I've met him. He's very sexy. Very sexy. I'm serious. I've got such a crush on W. Are you kidding? Oh my goodness. No, there's something about that kind of little smirk, and it's kind of like mission accomplished, and he knows it isn't, but, whatever. It's just like, there's something about that sort of knowing smirk that I quite like. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has the same thing. Irresistible. The little pint-sized dictator used to run Iran. There's just something naughty about him. I just want to spank him. Such a hot little dictator. No, I don't think it was Bush's fault. Now, this is the sort of thing that has even me running out for a pint of Ben & Jerry's. They turned him into sort of something from The Fifth Element, No, they've turned him from like the most beautiful man I've seen today, well, since about 10 a.m. this morning, to this. So it's absolutely true that liberalism is the refuge of the joyless and the unattractive, but it also transforms people into ugly, joyless, unattractive people too. Research from Stanford suggests that beautiful people perceive themselves to be of higher social status than the others, which is why I look down on you all, like I do. And ugly people are perceived as having lower social status. And there may be some truth to that, but I think the research is short-sighted. Everyone looks in the mirror and rationalizes their place in the world. Some people, like this woman, look in the mirror and think that to improve their social class, they must be even more outre, even more of a unique snowflake. This belief is at the heart of the social justice movement. The irony, of course, being that they all end up looking exactly the same, fat and hideous. If you wanted to grab it, you wouldn't know where to start. You'd need a friend to sort of peel back the folds. There's a story about Luciano Pavarotti, the opera singer, that some of you might know. It's my favorite story about any opera singer because it is the only story I know about any opera singer. And it is that he was late for a performance and they came into his dressing room to find one ballerina holding up his immense belly and a second ballerina sucking him off. Something's probably true. Something of the same. Something of the same would have to happen here if you were to attempt such a thing, which of course you would not. This belief is the heart of the social justice movement. My conclusion is straightforward. Not all beautiful people are conservative, just most of them. And not all ugly people are liberal. We are individuals, and both of our appearance and our perception of how we fit into the world's beauty standards is a core part of our politics. What makes people lean toward conservatism is the idea that we can make ourselves better. And we can do it without others. Or at least we can do it while choosing who, on a case-by-case basis, we decide to enter into transactions with, to enter into relationships with. And we do that not outsourcing our personal responsibility to the state, who is empowered under liberalism to decide all things for you, what kind of language you can use, what sort of clothes you can wear, whether you can have dreadlocks or not. All sorts of decision-making that you ought to be engaged in for yourself, because it's how you come to learn more about yourself and how you come to learn more about the world. Liberals want to take those decisions away from you because they think they know better than you do how to run your life. They don't. They don't know better than you do how to run your life. But this is the instinct at the heart of this stuff. And when you put, as American popular culture has, the people least qualified to lecture anyone else in all the positions of power, when you put man-hating lesbianic feminists in charge of gender policies, influencing things like Title IX, when you put fake black people like Rachel Dolezal and Sean King in charge of local NAACP chapters and Black Lives Matter, when you put angry, miserable social justice warriors who want to lay the blame for everything that is wrong in their lives at someone else's doorstep and take no personal responsibility for themselves, when you allow people who want to punish the world and make it hurt like they hurt in charge of everything, your freedom gets eroded very, very quickly. All of you, beautiful or ugly, and I'm looking around, and most of you are 7s and above. Most of you are okay. You can all improve how you look. You can all be better. You can all look hotter? Too long in this country. You can all look hotter. You can all work out harder. You can all buy better clothes. I mean, you'll never look like me, but I'm just kidding. You can all do those things, but you can't do those things, or you're at least misled away from doing those things. If you were told by popular culture that there's something wrong with being hot, that's insane. Completely insane. But it is the single biggest problem in American popular culture, and nobody talks about it. Magazine covers, the aspirational lifestyle ideals that are placed in front of you are fat women and trannies. It's bizarre. It's utterly bizarre that idealized depictions of women and men have become stigmatized. You don't see them anymore in magazines. It's very, very weird, and it's sick. And my hope is that with the election of Donald Trump and all of the various opportunities that that suggests for popular culture, that some of this stuff will start to be resisted by his voters, by readers, by people being more vocal about the magazines they read. I mean, just Men's Health. Take Men's Health, for instance. Cover of Men's Health used to be, every month, somebody preposterously, like otherworldly. Like, used to be somebody whose beauty you could never possibly even grasp for a second. It was this ethereal gorgeousness. And we need people like that. We need aspirational beauty ideals because it drives us to excel. Fat shaming works. Of course it works. All the studies that say it doesn't work are bogus or hopelessly flawed. What every single piece of serious research we have shows us is that peer pressure is the number one thing that motivates people to improve, to make better lifestyle decisions. If all your friends constantly tell you how disgusting it is that you smoke, that's more likely to make you stop than anything you might arrive at on your own. I stopped smoking because my boyfriend didn't like it. It works. And fat shaming, of course fat shaming works. It's fucking obvious that it works. If you want to know why people tell you that fat shaming doesn't work, look at the people who are telling you. And ask yourself why they might be saying that. I would like for everyone in this audience to go out feeling good about themselves, but not too good about themselves. Feeling 7 out of 10 about themselves. Resolve to do better. Resolve to be beautiful. To make America beautiful again. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take some questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take a few questions. I think maybe we have a microphone or something. You? Well, I don't know how we're doing it. Where's Andrew? Where's little Andrew? Huh? This one? I have to bring this? Sure. What is it? Free Boulder.
Free Boulder, that was our county commissioners, Republicans who ran to free Boulder because we need to be free.
You do need to be freed. You need to be freed from the uglies. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you. Am I supposed to bring you this? I don't know if it comes off. There we go. You want this? Somebody wants this? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I think you have to queue up here if you want to ask a question.
Milo, I'm going to move the mic around.
What?
You can pick people out and I'll move Mike to them.
Oh, okay, fine. No, sit down. I was lying. But at least you got some exercise. Which has been the purpose of today's talk. You see this stuff it's very natural after a while. You know, you get really good at it. Okay, put your hands up if you have a question. And I will pick you in order of attractiveness. It's very political now, you see. Okay, what am I feeling? I'm feeling like a scruffy aesthetic today. I'm going to go with the guy in the yellow, because I like the look. Little scruffiness today. You look like an anime fan. Are you an anime fan?
What is your opinion on the recent 2 cent per ounce soda tax that was implemented in Boulder?
Are you kidding me?
I am not.
Oh my God! So the moment I knew I would love Sarah Palin forever was the big gulp thing, and everyone sort of very loftily sort of scoffing at it. Oh God, it's so theatrical, but I loved it. I loved it. She's just like, fuck you. I did this at Clemson. It was my birthday. Was it Clemson? Yeah, it was Clemson. We did a show and they banned pictures of Harambe from campus. So of course I festooned the stage with pictures of gorillas. Don't say it. I'm hoping I get my account back. Any kind of sin tax is disproportionately hits the working classes. And although I'm a believer in regressive taxation, because I think that you should encourage people to do better and be better, basically after a certain point, you get to sort of $200,000 a year, I think you should be taken out of tax entirely. Because you pay enough in sales, well, you pay enough in sales taxes and you contribute so much to the economy already, creating jobs and whatever, that I think you should encourage people to be rich. It's good. I mean, rich people, look, we don't pay any tax anyway. Why make us go through the charade of employing vast armies of lawyers and accountants? Just don't charge us. It's how it works anyway. And you know, you have like a low rate, like a 20% tax rate maybe for people who don't have much money, and it tapers off. It encourages people to get better. It encourages people to get promotions, to get pay rises. It'd be fantastic. So I believe in regressive taxes. I don't believe in sin taxes. Because I don't believe in overly punitive taxes that punish people for the few pleasures they have in life. You know, in a world where globalism is robbing, in particular, the white and black working classes of any hope of a reasonable job. In any of the service industries, any of heavy industry, that kind of thing. I hope that Trump will bring some of those jobs back. But in the absence of those, when people are stuck on welfare and all the rest of it, the meanest, cruelest, most vindictive, school-marmish thing you could do is, of course, what liberals always do, is to start going for their fucking soda. Kidding me? Like cigarette taxes, alcohol taxes. I'd get rid of all of them. I'd abolish them all and just have a very, very low basic rate of income tax that tapers off to nothing. Regressive taxation is good. Let's go to, you look like, no. See, it's fun. I can do what I want. You by the wall, over there, in the hat. Yeah, you. I'm going over there again. Go on, run, Andrew.
All right. Thank you for coming to Boulder. I actually grew up here. I was a liberal most of my life until I was about 19.
When reality kicked in.
When reality kicked in. Well,
yeah.
So, when you live in the circus, you wake up. So, okay, so...
You have your fair share of bearded ladies, for sure.
So, they kept running a story in the newspaper about how the Dems were upset that they were going to be contributing $2,000 of student funds to your show for audio and other expenses. But ironically, there's a transgender with the appropriate name of Laverne Cox, who is also hosting a show here.
Imagine keeping your surname, Cox. You're asking for it, aren't you? Sorry, carry on.
It's not misleading. Okay, so simultaneously, the school is giving him or her $52,200, but nobody made a noise about that. So
is that a speaking fee? Finally,
I
finally.
so.
I mean, how much does scissors cost? At most, if you were feeling generous, you'd get her a bottle of scotch and some garden secateurs.
So what's your take on that?
Well, I don't charge speaking fees, because I think if you have to charge 19-year-olds to listen to your opinions, something is wrong with you. And I find it distasteful and grubby when rich, famous celebrities eat up student funds when they don't need to. She doesn't need the money. She's a very, very wealthy woman or man, or as you please. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. They're going to call me a transphobe, whatever, so I'll just use whichever one comes to me first. She doesn't need the money, and it strikes me as grasping, you know, to sort of... American higher education is a very rich industry. You know, there's a lot of money around. And there will always be opportunistic people who want to attach themselves to that fire hose of free cash. I think if you are actually producing or doing or being something elsewhere in life, that this should be the sort of icing on the cake, is the sort of thing you do for fun, you know? You actually create a product or do something else in the real world. You can come and talk to college students about what you think about things on the basis of your experience. I don't see it. I hate it when conservative speakers do it. They don't command the sorts of fees that liberal speakers do it. I find it interesting, though, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, that they have capitulated now. They have realized they can't stop me from speaking. So what is their strategy? I know, we'll get a black cross-dresser. That'll fuck with him. A famous black cross-dresser. That will leech out the attention. Well, what's the story on Boulder tonight? It ain't Laverne Cox. It's the protest outside my event, of course. But this is good news, because it means they have it means they have given in. It means they have given up trying to stop me from coming. They're still going to put little, like last-minute security fees on the students. They're still going to be slimy, disreputable, slippery cunts. They're still going to punish their students for being conservative, but they have finally admitted that their First Amendment responsibilities require them to do everything possible to allow me to entertain you for an hour or two. Good. And if the worst, if the best they can come up with, the most A-list attraction they can come up with, is some sort of, minor star from a Netflix show who has the right identity politics credentials, well, good. I think that means we're winning, don't you? Okay, next up, I'm going to go with, you've been sitting very politely and calmly, sort of still waters run deep. I feel sure you're about to torpedo me with a terrible question, something I can't answer. There's a sort of oasis of calm politeness around this man. He's about to call me a monster. No, go on.
Oh, no. You
You're
can
on.
answer the question. This is for my friend back in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
He wants me to ask you, is feminine penis gay?
Is what?
Feminine penis.
Feminine penis. Well, I just figured you'd know. Just kidding. I got the mic, all right. I don't really know what that means, but I can tell you that traps are gay. Let's go. Let's move on. You're very enthusiastic. Stand up. Let me look at you before I decide. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see, life is not. Life is not a level playing field. Life is a meritocracy, and so are my events.
I was just kidding. I just wanted to know if you thought I was attractive or not.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. All right, more attractive people. What about the lady here in the purple with the nice hair? Yeah. Don't do that. Is that what?
Hello. Thank you for coming.
Hello, Angel.
I was just wondering, do you have any advice for younger people that tend to be more on the conservative side, who are shamed for their views and told that they're woman haters for being not feminist?
Yes, and it is this. I know you're scared, but grow a backbone. And stick up for yourselves. Because if you attack them head on, they're bullies and they will crumble. Nobody can resist the truth wrapped in a good joke, as I always like to say. And there's something utterly retarded about somebody who thinks that disagreement about a particular fringe political ideology means you hate a whole gender. It's ridiculous. Say so. Tell them that. It's ridiculous to say, if you don't agree with the babyish, theatrical, destructive tactics of Black Lives Matter, that you hate black people. Ludicrous. Say so. It's the sort of thing you just don't hear. Like CNN, nobody says that on CNN. Nobody. It's just assumed when they have a conservative guest that they must be a racist. You say, no, I'm not a racist. Your view is ludicrous. Here are some facts, and here's a joke. By the way, you're fat. These people have lied to and lied about you for decades. It was time to take some of the power back, and nothing bad happens, as I always like to say, as people have heard me say often, nothing bad happens when you tell these people to go fuck themselves. Nothing bad happens. And you... Nobody in this room is going to completely sign up to the entire Republican Party platform. It would be weird if you did. But if you find that on examination of the evidence and consideration of your own moral compass and maybe your faith, maybe other things, you're mostly conservative, mostly Republican, in whatever that means. You've arrived through reason, through logic, through fact, perhaps through faith too, to a perfectly reasonable, respectable set of opinions that half the country holds. There's no reason to feel ashamed of that. There's no reason ever to feel bad about that. You may feel like the minority on campus, but you're clearly not. Most people go to college now. Certainly most of the people you're going to be working with in your life go to college. Half of them will vote Republican. They're just quieter. Because they don't want to burn the world like they think the world's burnt them. Conservatives, on the whole, quite happy people. Characterized as mean, vicious, angry, gun-clinging racists by the media. But look at the difference between the atmosphere and energy and the joviality, the comradeship in this room versus the dour misery of a feminist lecture hall. Or the sort of empty, sinister vacuousness that I'm sure is playing itself out in Laverne Cox's audience. You know, yes, queen, you go, sister, you know. Thank you, baby. You're good, decent people. Don't let anybody suggest to you otherwise. And if they try to suggest to you otherwise, the number one way to shut down a liberal is to ask for evidence and example, because they can never, ever produce any. I have had Donald Trump, Daddy, has determined. I made that up because it annoys everyone. He's realized that he will never get the press to treat him fairly, so he instead just trolls the fuck out of them. Which is wonderful. But occasionally I like to sort of ritually humiliate progressive journalists. So I've just sort of I had my publicist engage in a sort of blitzkrieg. If they go use a German word, must be a neo-Nazi. In a sort of blitzkrieg, it's a metaphor, on USA Today, NBC News, Salon, Fortune, all of them have had to issue corrections for calling me ridiculous things. Because we asked them one simple question. Can you provide a single piece of evidence? And you will find that 98% of social justice claims crumble in the face of that one question. This is going to be the last question. We'll have to be very careful to pick an attractive person. Yeah, in the green. Yeah. Sorry, I've sort of tended to the right this evening.
Hi, Milo. Thanks for gracing us with your presence tonight.
Thank you. You see, he's following the pattern which none of the rest of you fucks did. Compliment, question. How many times do I have to say it? Every single fucking Q&A, compliment, question is not that hard.
I'm not done.
How can I help you, Angel?
First off, I'd just like to say that your bling looks absolutely fabulous tonight.
Thank you.
I was wondering, how do you deal with people when you're debating them that like to play the definition game, changing the definition of things like racist to involve systems of oppression and alt-right to mean neo-Nazi?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wrote, as you know, I tend toward modesty and humility in all things. But I wrote what was indisputably the most influential piece of political journalism of the whole of 2016 with my colleague. I did. Them's facts, ho. I wrote with Alan Bakari, an establishment conservative's guide to the alt-right. And what we were trying to do was sketch out the contours of this exciting, new, vast movement. And I wanted to... Sorry? And Pepe's place in it. Green cartoon frog sends them running into their safe spaces, and they're surprised they lost an election. But what I was trying to do was paint sort of contours of the movement as I saw it. And it does have an unsavory element in it, for sure. My assessment was it was like 2 to 5% maybe less, maybe just 2%. And there were also cultural libertarians, people who were really concerned with the free speech stuff. There were traditional Republican-based voters who, like a bit of mischief, sort of raucous, bawdy humor, don't like being told what jokes they can make, and really care about immigration and trade. There are all sorts of different dimensions to this. And there were young, college-educated people like you who enjoyed Pepe, sort of the trolly, memey nature of online discourse, which is kind of the world I come from too. That's kind of the bit of it that I identify with the most. And I tried to sort of define that, but the media decided they weren't having that. They wanted to define it as racist, just the 2%, but then apply that term to all of you. And me. This is sort of weird distortions of language that they engage in. I suppose if you find yourself in the unfortunate position of being in the same room as somebody who thinks that stupidly, finish the conversation quickly so you don't catch it. And before you do that, I would just break it down like I did, They fall apart in the face of sensible, reasonable explanations. Because their thinking rests on sloppy assumptions and feelings. I was asked by the BBC, by this idiotic geriatric reporter, are you a white nationalist? And I said, no. And I explained what the assumptions were behind the question that he was asking me. I said, you see, I'm rather fond of America. I think American values are great. I think the Constitution's awesome. First and Second Amendment, really cool. Property rights and... I think it's amazing. And all I ever talk about is how amazing I think it is. And the fact that, property rights, democracy, freedom of speech, capitalism, these things are the best ingredients for the best society. These things make countries great. And the countries that don't have them are shit. The countries that do have them are great. This country has the most of them, which is why it's the best country in the history of human civilization. Now, what he was seeking to do is, out of nowhere, associate that with race. Suggesting that if you are a Western supremacist, which I'm perfectly happy to admit I am, you must also be a white supremacist. Well, no, I don't talk about skin color very often. I don't really talk about race at all. I did one talk about it. The only time I talk about skin color is in nightclubs in the bedroom. I don't really care. I don't care at all about skin color, but I do care about ideas and I do care about values. And when you seek to stigmatize certain value systems, as being associated with skin colors and certain prejudices and isms and bigotries, you're doing something ugly, sloppy, and horrendous, and something intellectually bankrupt. And when you, instead of answering the question they asked you, break it down like that, they run for the fucking hills. They run for the hills, partly because they don't, in many cases, realize they were doing it. They just think anyone who flies a flag must be a racist, because that's what everyone always told me. My professors told me that, and the media told me that. Think critically, logically, simply. Break things down to their simplest elements. What is he saying? What are the assumptions this is based on? Why is it garbage? And take a step back from the discussion and explain to your interlocutor why the question they've asked you is preposterous. They will leave the room quickly. And if they don't leave the room and they admit they're wrong, and you might then be in a situation where you can have a productive discussion. I am increasingly skeptical that anybody on the modern progressive left is able or willing to have a constructive discussion about anything that really matters, whether it is sex or race or orientation or anything else. They don't care about science anymore. They're not interested. They want to recategorize things for this sort of bizarre... It's a sort of bizarre crusade they have to tear down all the institutions that made this country great and that provided them with all the opportunities they have. This is the best country you can imagine to be born a woman or to be born gay. Like, you'd want to be born in America. But women and gays on the progressive left are trying to tear down precisely the things about America that made it great, like capitalism and freedom of speech. It's ridiculous. Absolute lunacy. Point it out to them. Because very often these people are sort of acting reflexively out of maxims, out of... sayings that they've just been taught to repeat. Because for 30 years, they haven't had strong opposition. Well, they have strong opposition now. There is a nascent nationalist, populist, rowdy, memey, trolly, mischievous, young conservative uprising in this country. And it is conservatives and libertarians. And you... I will leave you with on an optimistic note, having assaulted your eyeballs with pictures of Lena Dunham for long enough tonight. I'll leave you with an optimistic note, and it is this. For 30 years, the powers of political correctness and social justice have waged war on popular culture in this country. They have assaulted music, publishing, Hollywood, the media, everything. But things are about to change. They're literally, in the couple of years you have ahead of you when you're at college and starting out your career, you in this room and everybody your age is going to be instrumental in a colossal cultural pushback. Everyone just assumed that conservatives, thank you can hold this for just a second, I'm getting there. Everyone just assumed that conservatives had given up the culture war, and they did. All of the establishment Republicans, all of the, your parents' generation fucked you because they didn't bother to fight. They just handed the universities over. They handed Hollywood over. They handed over all of these massive organs, huge cultural institutions, a huge social power. They just gave it to the left. Well, you're not doing that. You're voting for somebody like Trump, of all people. You are standing up. You are laughing in the face of their lunacy. You are coming to talks like this. You are doing something about it, and you are the first generation in perhaps 2 or 3 generations of libertarians and conservatives to do something about it. So congratulations, you are the answer to the question. Just keep fucking at it. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the Milo Yiannopoulos Show, the podcast that launched 1,000 therapy sessions for triggered snowflakes. Thanks for tuning in, and please do subscribe on iTunes, leave us a comment, a rating, whatever you like. Our producer is Tom Sikotta. Our researchers are Will Ross and Michael Poole. Our resident German, Mark Geppert, ensures the trains run on time, and our sound engineer, John Fitch, can be found at sturbridgesound.com. Download new episodes of the Milo Yiannopoulos Show at podcast1.com, and you can also listen to us at Breitbart.
Something I can see coming out of that black hole of the eyes. It might be a face.
You wanted more of the best in paranormal talk radio? Podcast One and Jericho Network answered. Now, 5 nights a week, Beyond the Darkness. Subscribe now.
Stay tuned for 60-second AP News headlines.
AP Update, I'm Ross Simpson. Protests aimed at President Trump's executive orders on immigration have gone global. That's what the leader of a Harlem mosque told protesters at JFK Airport in New York today.
People all over the planet Earth are standing for justice, and they are standing for brotherhood and sisterhood.
In the meantime, AP correspondent Sagar Magani reports the State Department says fewer than 60,000 refugees have actually had their visas canceled under the president's new immigration orders.
The figure is at odds with the one given at a Virginia court hearing by a Justice Department lawyer who said about 100,000 visas had been revoked. The State Department says that number includes expired visas and diplomatic and other visas actually exempted under the travel ban.
AP Update, I'm Ross Simpson.